God, I offer myself to thee, to build with me and to do with me as thy will. Relieve me of the bondage of self, so that I may better do thy will. Take away my difficulties, so that victory over them may bear witness to those I would help. Of thy power, thy love, and thy way of life, may I do thy will always. Amen.
I'm Joey, and this is The Gandee Show, a place for stories, connection, and a reminder that recovery is possible. Help me get God in the room with the serenity prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Amen. Today, we're going to be hearing a story from Duffy. Let's get right into it. Hi there. A little about me first. I'm 31, never married, and no kids. Infertility due to endometriosis. I'm the oldest of 4. I grew up in a small town with parents that separated when I was very young. My dad is a functioning alcoholic, and so is my mom. But my mom got so bad that she went to prison. Soon after, my father got with my babysitter at the time, and they had a baby. I was 10. Before that, she was like a mother to me. I'm assuming the babysitter. After that, I was nothing. With all these things happening, I was offered H at 17 during a party by my best friend's older brother, and I decided, why not? It had to feel better than my life does now. After that, I didn't touch it for about 2 years. Once I learned what it did to me, I wanted more. I went from homeless with boyfriends to just begging for help. I eventually got off by using Suboxone, and I stayed clean for about 5 years. When tapering finally off my subs, I used Kratom to help with the small withdrawals that lingered. But I was offered a 7-OH pill. Within a couple of weeks, I was hooked. I tried a sub after 24 hours to get off of them, but I sent myself into precipitated withdrawal and had to force myself into this for a week. And actually, I'm happy I did it. Now it's been a week. Okay, first of all, I want to thank you for being vulnerable enough to share this. You know, one of my main goals with this channel is to shine a light on addiction and just try to spread awareness about it. You know, I believe fear comes from a lack of knowledge. And that might not really make sense to a lot of people why I'm saying that right now, but like I just believe the more knowledge you have about anything, the better chance you have to not only understand it, but if it's a negative thing and you want to change, that's where it starts. For me, that's where it started. You know, I struggled with my own cycle of addiction for many years, and my ego and my pride got in the way of me even having a chance to be able to recover. I remember the first time I was ever introduced to the steps, and the very first step they read, my ego already checked me out. Oh, you gotta admit you're powerless, and right away my ego's like, psh, powerless over what? At the time, I believed this is what my disease told me at the time. It said, if you can't accept responsibility for where you're at, how are you ever gonna change? And to a degree, I believe that still. I still think that is a valid thought, but I had to be humbled by the universe further before I was able to begin to accept help. So let's talk about this story. I can relate a lot to a lot of the things that she's talking about. I was also the oldest, the older brother, the older sibling, and for me, what that did is that I put a lot of weight on my own shoulders. I put a lot of stress on my own shoulders. I always felt like I had to be responsible. I was responsible for everything and everyone. Um, I also grew up in a small town where there's nothing but cornfields and trouble to get into. both of my parents are also alcoholics. Somehow my father has managed to evade legal consequence, so he's never had to face being an alcoholic, and therefore he's never been put in a situation where he's had to change. And that's how it goes for some people. Some people are somehow able to go through their whole life without getting in any trouble or getting any DUIs, or I don't know. I can't relate to that because I could not arrest the cycle of addiction on my own. It had to quite literally be arrested for me. My mother also went to prison. She did a year in Marysville. And at that time, I was still in my early to mid 20s. So at that time, I still had absolutely no understanding about addiction. And so I really spent a lot of my 20s angry. And we'll get into that more on this channel. You know, I'm going to share my story at length in one of these episodes. So, you know, she also said once she realized what it did, she said to her, but I want to say once I realized what it did for me, once I realized what opiates did for me, oh man, it was a wrap after that. It may have taken a few years to get to the point to where I was actually homeless, but man, I'll never forget the first time I took an opiate. The sky was bluer, food tasted better, cigarettes were better. The noise that came out of people's face when they opened the hole in it was easier to tolerate. I felt like Superman on opiates. I could tear a house down and rebuild it when I was on an opiate. And it's such a man, it's such an evil, false, synthetic way to fill that void that we all have. You know, I had no way of knowing that at the time, but I found out. Um, hmm. Yeah, I look forward. I don't wanna empty my clip on the first episode, you know, but I look forward to doing this more. I'm really excited about this actually. You know, I'm starting a little late, some might say, but I believe the message I have is so pure and organic that there's nothing on this earth that can stop it. The only thing that's going to stop me from being successful with this is if I get high again. So, thank you. Thank you for watching. Thank you, Duffy, for sharing. And if you want to connect or if you have a story to share, let me know in the comments. You can also email me at TheGandeeShow@gmail.com. And until the next one, stay connected and stay hopeful. And remember, recovery is possible. You are loved. Thank you. I'm out.